Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another Packet Live. You got the three bros. I'm Jeremy. We got Josh Berger, Jesse Berger. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Pardon
Yeah.
the rosy face. I've been training for a marathon. Going to run the San Francisco Marathon.
Oh, that's fun.
Whew, that's a testament of consistency, which is kind of what we've been doing here at Packet, staying consistent, keeping the pace.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy how long we've been doing these live streams. I mean, every Wednesday, there's maybe only been a handful that we haven't met, like since the inception of this. Every Wednesday for 6 years.
Yeah.
Meet every single Wednesday for 6 freaking years. It's just pretty wild.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Consistent.
Yeah, it's great though,
Yeah.
Makes me.
This has been like, I mean, it's only Wednesday, but I mean, just yesterday and just the conversations, the high level conversations that we're having about Packet TV is just been pretty insane.
Yeah.
Really exciting to get the kind of feedback we're getting and yeah, and just how this whole thing has just evolved into this kind of next iteration. It's been super exciting.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been asking specifically about how the network is involved with Packet TV. So
yeah, maybe I was gonna say maybe kind of give the next phase of where things are going with Packet TV and how people can get involved right in this moment.
Yeah, I would say the next piece for Packet TV is really beginning to align with a lot of notable people from the entertainment industry as well as celebrities. And that's why I have a lot of confidence in what is going to happen with Packet Cash and the cryptocurrency and the network itself, because as these names start to get involved on the entertainment side, I just think it's going to bring a lot of awareness specifically to the crypto side as well. And obviously the utility that's built into the cryptocurrency and the network is fundamental to the story and execution on Packet TV. So I believe that Packet TV is going to be a shining light for the crypto industry on that side, even though Packet TV, as far as the audience and consumer side, is going to certainly relate to and connect with people who may have no interest in crypto whatsoever. And you don't have to have any interest in crypto whatsoever to use Packet TV. So I'm actually pretty excited to see how this unfolds and to see how much growth we can generate over the next year, both on the Packet TV awareness side and on the crypto side of things.
Yeah, I think it'll be really cool to watch the two evolve and kind of how they complement each other. Because crypto has a lot to do with marketing and with hype, and that's kind of just how this market is all about, like news and how that affects these currencies. Even currencies that have extreme amount of utility, still the hype of these markets really play a massive effect on them. And so being able to take an industry like the entertainment industry and bring that onto blockchain and onto a network that's powered by a community, it'll be really interesting how those two things play and how it inspires more people to run this network when they know what it's running. When you think about the Packet network in its current state, you're just like, yeah, it's really cool. I'm running this. I'm building a network. I'm getting paid. That's exciting to, make money. Sure. But when you attach that action with a result, it becomes a lot more tangible and also inspiring to want to put more energy and more time into it, because you can see the exact result that it's causing.
I actually think that's one of the biggest problems with crypto in general, is that it's so intangible. People are trading meme coins and it's literally just about making money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's no loyalty to a project anymore. That's why people jump in, jump out. And, I would say probably the biggest difference between crypto and equities is, people believe in a company, and even when it goes down, that doesn't mean they sell. And with crypto, it's like there's no longevity to these projects. So it's like when you see a number, you just have to exit, and people don't stick around necessarily. I mean, there's some projects, certainly some of the Dino projects, where people have stuck around. Bitcoin, clearly people have stuck around, but generally speaking, with the alts, people just have no faith and no trust that there's going to be anything tangible long term there. And with Packet, it's been through a lot of iterations as far as community, and as you mentioned, Josh, community is critical in terms of value of the project on the crypto side. And community is obviously fundamental in terms of marketing and awareness, and that's really the goal, is to build that. And also, once you get that groundswell, it kind of perpetuates itself. You can have people working for their bag, promoting, talking in socials. But to get real longevity, I think utility is key, and really making sure there's a reason for people to have the token and a use beyond just like holding it, hoping it goes up in value. And so between Packet DNS, staking, and the networking side, and having it power an actual media network that's bringing in celebrity talent, that's available globally, that starts having like real marketing around that product, I believe that it will also benefit, Packet. And regardless of where the price is, we know why we built this. It was always about building a network to power a media network. And now that's been accomplished. And with Packet DNS, that's all, live and accessible. And now it's just about putting a lot of people, on it so that they can participate as well. And that's just going to come from having a war chest for marketing. Welcome, Caleb.
We can't hear
you.
Hey,
how's it going? Sorry I'm late. I had to pick up the little monster from daycare. And also, I will not be present next week because we're having a baby next week. So,
Mazel tov.
Thank you. Yeah, number 2.
There you go.
Next week is going to be busy. And this week, obviously, I have to do a little bit more than normal because the wife is a little bit out of it.
Yeah. Well, within like a week of having the baby, just put some milk in a bottle, just give the baby to the other baby, and you're fine.
That's the plan. Well, we're going to do a training program.
Oh yeah,
6-month training program. It all figured out. Yeah, we'll be done raising kids.
There you go. Yeah, you just go take care of themselves. Let you code, and
exactly.
Let me know when the fridge runs out of food. Great, that's exciting. Yeah, baby one is definitely a cutie. So it's funny how kids are so different, because she's so like self-sufficient already.
Yep.
And
we just don't know. What's funny is that she when before she was born, she was breached. She was reversed in the womb, and she got stuck like that. And ever since then, and also she was born early, not preterm, but before the scheduled C-section. She just came out. Mm-hmm. But what's funny about that is afterwards, being stuck is the thing that she hates in life the most. So if you want to punish her, just hold her, and she cannot stand it. So it's like that really, really, really bothered her. And before she was born, she would stick her head up, like just trying to stretch her head up because she was just in this terrible position, which was why she wanted out so bad, and that why she was born. I believe she was born on the day that the pregnancy was at term.
All right. She's like, all right.
He's a lot more relaxed. He's like, I mean, today it was term, and he's just chilling right now. So he's not like insisting on getting out.
So he's gonna be a mama's boy.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out what he's like. It's exciting.
Yeah, that's cool.
For everybody who thinks about having kids, and maybe they want to, or maybe they don't. I'll tell you, we were in the same place like 2.5, 3 years ago, and our experience has been that Dora was the funnest thing that we ever did together. She's absolutely so much fun, so much entertainment. And people say like, well, you won't have a life after, you won't be able to go to the club. You don't want to go to the club because the kid is actually so much more fun than the club. And so anybody who's like on the fence, I would just tell you that this is like the funnest thing that you're going to do in your, well, I don't know. Different people have different experiences, and Jeremy can confirm or deny what I'm saying.
No,
but,
you're spot on. You're spot on. I mean, yeah, it's the greatest gift of all time to have kids, just because you notice so many like traits and things about yourself within them. And like I have like this little mole on the side of my like stomach, and my son's got the same mole, like things like weird stuff like that. Like,
that's wild.
Yeah. Or it's like things that he does or says that like I do, or my wife does, or my my stepson does. It's just such a trip. But yeah, it's a blessing.
And you also get to relive your childhood. You get to do those silly things that like you did as a kid, and it was fun when you were a kid. But you get to like play and have the fun again, but as being a dad. So yeah, you get to say dad jokes, and there's nobody's like, ooh, that's a dad joke, because you're a dad.
Yeah, but on more of a packet note, Caleb, do you have like any updates that you've made onto on packet lately that you can share with us?
So a couple of weeks ago, I was working on CJDNS. I got into trying to fix a small issue, which turned into fixing a bunch of things as it happens. And I was working, getting pretty deep in it, and then I started thinking about some of the protocol, and I've also been working on another project, which is contributing my first code to the Linux kernel, which is something I should have been able to do for a long time, but I decided now's the time I'm going to up my game and become a Linux developer. And in the long term, you can imagine like getting CJDNS protocol to be officially in Linux, like the way IP and MPLS and ATM are in Linux. So, that would be a big milestone for the project. But something that got me to thinking about was, one thing it got me thinking about was what has to happen in order for that to occur, to do it right. And I think that the way to do it right would be, we would need to write a formal specification of the protocol. I mean, you don't need to. There's projects that get merged in merged in Linux, and they don't have a formal spec. But I think that to be really a big boy network protocol, you would want to have some kind of an RFC, even if it's not accepted into standards. If it's just as a submitted RFC, that would stabilize things a lot. And something I realized, which is really interesting. So I'm gonna go into some tech stuff, but people who understand networking will get this. So when you send a IP packet to a computer, like let's say you're browsing with your browser, you go to a website, and the browser sends a packet to the IP address of the server that runs the website. So what when that server receives the packet, it doesn't necessarily know what to do with it. So it has to look underneath the IP header and look into the data of the packet. And the data is as a TCP or UDP, typically TCP or UDP header, and that has a port number. And these port numbers is how we decide whether which actual program on that computer should receive the packet. So as I'm talking to you now, my browser is sending packets to the server of this StreamYard, and those packets have a specific destination port, which the StreamYard is able to know that it's meant for the StreamYard stream handler as opposed to some other program that might be running on that server. And it also has a source port, which allows StreamYard to send a message back to my computer, like to say, yes, I got that message you sent me. And for my computer to then send it to the browser. And so anyway, what I realized is that these port numbers have been done wrong for like 40 years. Because they combine two things that shouldn't be combined. And they combine the concept of service identifiers, like I'm sending you a packet, it should be processed as HTTP. This is for your web server. That's like a service identifier. And then the other thing they do is they do like a channel identifier, which is this packet is part of this ongoing conversation between the programs on this program and that program on my computer and yours. And because those two are combined, it's very inefficient in terms of how many. You can only have 65,000. You only have 65,000 ports, so you're limited to 65,000 sessions. And I mean, you do some trickery in order to get that number up, but it's a very low number, and you have a collision space between your active sessions and your services that you're running. So I think that where CJDNS probably should go is, and CJDNS right now, the way it works is IPv6 over CJDNS is actually like kind of a piggyback protocol. The CJDNS doesn't just pass IP6 packets. It deconstructs the IP6 packet, converts it into a CJDNS packet, sends that, and then at the other end, it reconstructs the IP6 packet. And the reason for that is because the IP addresses are already known because they're part of the crypto session. They're the hash of the key. So you don't need to send the IP6 header. It doesn't make any sense to do so. So that's a IPv6 over CJDNS. And what I'm thinking is that in the longer term, we would want to go in a direction of having services as something that is registered in CJDNS. You say, okay, I have an HTTP server, it's here. You register that in CJDNS, and then the other end can send you a packet, and it will tell the other end what the service identifier is, and then they'll set up that session, and then they'll use those session IDs, and that will take the place of port numbers. So anyway, that's probably been a big, long, rambling spiel for everybody who's not familiar with TCP/IP. But I think that we're on to potentially a whole new way of doing networking that supplants the OSI 7-layer stack and the TCP/IP 40-year-old platform. Not to say that TCP/IP is going away. I mean, even if CJDNS takes over the world, it would still, I mean, TCP/IP would be tunneled over, TCP/IP over CJDNS for a very, very long time, because that's what all the programs speak is TCP/IP. But that doesn't mean that we can't think about defining a better network, a better way of setting up sessions and managing those sessions than using port numbers in a TCP or UDP packet header.
Would it make the network faster, or what's the effect of doing that?
A lot more flexible. So right now, for instance, if you have a server and you're running Well, this actually comes up with our VPS or reverse VPN, where you've got like you're running a web server on this machine, and then you would like to back tunnel some web traffic, but you can't because that that web traffic, you're already running a web server, and so any incoming traffic on port 80 or port 443, which are the web server ports, is already going to go to your regular web server. So you can't also tunnel it back through a VPN. So what this would give you the flexibility to say, well, I'm running multiple different web servers, and HTTPS actually solved this with I don't forget the name, but anyway, when you start an HTTPS or SSL connection, you send the host name of the service identifier that you want to communicate. But this is being handled in the web server handling HTTPS. This should have been done in the kernel when the TCP SYN packet is sent. When the initial packet is sent, that should be telling you which backend receives that packet, and or you're starting the session with which backend. And if you do that, then you can run effectively infinite number of different like web servers on the same host without having to modify the web server software. You could actually run like infinite number of different peer-to-peer applications even on the same machine without them having to know about each other, and without running out of ports, where you only have 65,000 ports, which for most people, 65,000 enough for anyone, but you do run out eventually, especially if you're constrained on IP addresses. Anyway, it's better. And I think that if somebody with TCP/IP experience looks at it, they would recognize that this is actually the correct way to do it. And it was done wrong for 40 years just because nobody knew what they were doing 40 years ago. It was like, well, let's build a network and see where that goes. And well, here we are. But I do think that there are things that can be improved about that network. I mean, there are definitely things that can be improved. Source routing. It's much more efficient, and then using service IDs instead of mixing port numbers for session handles and port numbers for service identifiers.
In terms of the quality of the CJDNS nodes on the packet network, how constrained is the network based on the quality of these nodes? Because a lot of people are setting up VPSs, couple dollar VPSs. So in terms of the throughput and, how robust that network in fact is for the types of use that you're suggesting.
Well, what I'm talking about more is just solving design problems. I mean, sure. It doesn't necessarily mean, we could do something, 1,000 times faster than say the internet of, 1980, which is all dial-up over between universities. So, this is orthogonal to the idea of making the network really fast. I think when we get into making the network really fast, we're either going to when we get to the point of making the network fast, you're basically renting a line of some sort between point A and point B. The idea of servers that'll work when we're talking about like VPN. And I think that, so to answer your question about like constraint of the bandwidth, that's something I'd love to be measuring. I'd love to get to the point where we're measuring bandwidth on those things and then rewarding better if the more bandwidth is available, so that the network kind of and also building the peerings between the nodes in such a way that the core of the network is made up of the nodes with the fastest connections, and then and then around that you have concentric rings. This is all stuff that the route server could do, but it's complicated code to write, so I've been putting it off.
Yeah, it's a good point. So, in terms of roadmap for packet, obviously VPN is kind of the next frontier, and then route server letting
people... Yeah, I mean, route server is implicated in every feature that is developed. There's some route server development that goes into that feature. Yeah. So VPN comes out. Well, the route server is going to coordinate the VPN, the setup sessions, yada yada. Then measuring and improving the quality metrics. Route server needs to be improved in order to take the measurements. It's kind of the route server is involved every time we make an improvement to the network.
Yeah, I was more referring to, from the standpoint of the route server, the ability for people within the community to run one.
Yeah, that's you know, I'd like to get the one I'd really like to get to in the shorter term is name server, because we're just running these 2 name servers, and it would be much nicer if people in the community were running a dozen name servers, because that just reduces any kind of single point of failure on the DNS system. The reason why I haven't opened that up to people yet is because what I don't want to have name servers. I mean, I want to be able to test that the name server is doing what it's supposed to do. It's answering the queries correctly, and have some way to punish the name server if it's doing the wrong thing, because that can really mess up the network if the name server does the wrong thing.
Is that like where like Packeteer.com?
Right. Yeah, there's one on Packeteer and there's one on CJDNS, and those name servers, when you go to like josh.pkt.net, it's up to them to answer the question of what server are we going to here. So a malicious name server is really disastrous, and that's why I've been a bit dragging my feet on opening that up, because we need really good testing to make sure the name servers are doing the right thing.
Right. And in that sense, could somebody use any domain to stake as a name server?
Name servers don't. So the way we specified it was that to run a name server, you need to have a packet domain. But that's just a administrative rule. The location of the name server should not really be a packet domain. I mean, Packeteer.com, CJDNS.fr, those are not packet domains. You don't want the name server to require the name server to function in order to find the name server, because that creates this kind of infinite loop that if ever anything goes wrong, the result can be quite bad. And so it's, I think, better to use other top level or other domain systems like CJDNS.fr uses the France system.fr, Packeteer.com uses the .com system, and wherever name servers get put, they should be on more different domains that in order to improve the reliability.
Yeah. I was going to say, did we talk about the upgrade that you had done with regards to domains that are staked on GoDaddy? And
yeah.
Found a fix for that.
I think we did, but I think we can talk about it again. So it's half fixed. Okay. Or maybe it's, I believe it's half fixed. So half fixed means the domain will resolve, and that's why packet.net resolves. It's only half fixed because you're not getting paid yet for those domains. They'll still show as faulted. So yeah, the fix is that if you have a domain which requires a registered name server, you can create your own name server. You just have to enter the IP. You create your own name servers, enter the IP addresses that are the same as the ones for pns.cjdns.fr, pns.packeteer.com. You enter those two IP addresses and you create your own name servers. And the rule is that the name of the name server you create, so let's say you own Packet.net, you're creating name servers on Packet.net that are registered. Those name servers will be NS, let's say Packet.net is number 215, so the name servers recommended are ns215.cjdns.fr, ns215.packeteer.com. So instead, you create ns215a.packet.net and ns215b.packet.net name servers, and when you do that, then it will, and you put the IP addresses of the real name servers, and then it does work. And speaking of that, we should probably forbid people from registering NS and then a number as packet domains, because that will interfere with that registered name server thing. So I mean, it's not that it will interfere, it's that their domain that they registered won't work. So that's we should probably block that from them registering it.
Well, that's the problem we already have, is those domains don't work, and a lot of people have domains that they've acquired from GoDaddy that aren't staked.
Yeah. What I mean is Packet.net works. So cjd.packet.net works. However, if you were ever to register ns215.pkt, like you said, that's my packet domain. Well, ns215.pkt.net is not going to work. So you should kind of be forbidden from that, because that is the name server, the internal registered name server of packet.net. So that's a name that is not going to work.
Well, why don't you just go claim it, and then you'll
because there's
there's like infinite numbers.
So, basically one number per top level domain. So you just have to forbid like NS and then numeric. I think NS plus, if it starts with NS and then 0 to 9, it's a no-go.
Yeah. Got it. Fun times, just out here building things.
Yeah, it's great. The other thing I really want to do, and we haven't done this and I've been wanting to do it, is we got to make contact with the major crypto CDNs. That's just the frontier. So kind of shout out to the community if there's any inside tracks you have to, Theta, for example, or any of the other CDN projects that are in the crypto sphere. We definitely want to connect with them and find some synergies. There's a lot that's about to happen on the CDN side, specifically with Packet TV, and we've been exploring a lot of that. So I would love to put a spotlight on the crypto networks that are out there. There's so many different DPIN networks out there, and just bringing that connection to traditional media space and the crypto side of things is, obviously the name of the game here.
Yeah. I had a connection. I was just looking up whatever happened with that. I met one of the guys, but he has not. We talked for a second. Now he's not returned my.
Right, and then we had connected with Filecoin, specifically with regards to Saturn. And it's just hard to kind of shake these guys down. I mean, look, crypto just got such a nasty black eye. 2025 has been a rough ride, and a lot of people got bucked off the horse for sure. And so it's been a pretty destitute landscape, but it'll be good to see some revitalization. And I do believe that will turn a corner sometime later this year. And I mean, certainly it's a from a regulatory standpoint, we have a better environment for crypto to grow. But I think what sucks is how badly harmed the retail was. And it's so hard to get retail. It's like this industry doesn't come out of a bear market until retail starts believing and getting in. And there was so much money beginning to come in and attention, and people chipping in $5,000 and buying alts, and then just getting absolutely wrecked beyond comprehension, not just once, but like dozens of times. And I think we all know, if you've been in crypto for a long time, that it's a bit of a rites of passage to see your bag down 80 to 90%. But a lot of times that has happened after people made some money. And what's also smart, for future reference for all the rug pulling market makers out there, is it's nice to let the first wave of retail cash out before you rug pull them. And let them tell their friends, like let their friends tell their friends, like let's have the market cap go up more than 20% before everyone's so greedy that they take everything out of it. But it was just obviously disappointing to see that happen so quickly. I mean, it didn't make it very far. I think we only had like a 3-week bull run, and now we're firmly into a bear market, even though Bitcoin has done dang good. And even though we did close the CME gap, it's recovered nicely. I mean, Bitcoin's hanging out, and it shows that there's still a lot of support for Bitcoin. But I think the retail on the alt side just got so badly harmed. There was so much activity happening there, and it's just a true shame. Obviously, people who are here are still here and still hanging out, but to get that energy and excitement and momentum back is going to take a long time, I believe. I think it will be well into the other side of summer before we start to see some change. And you could also just argue that, hey, U.S. monetary policy now controls, the crypto world, and that may be true. But regardless of what U.S. monetary policy does, it's going to take a certain type of comfort, interest, trust to get retail back in. And we know that we can't see a bull run without retail. I mean, these market makers are so manipulative that it's like they'll fire up a green candle and then they'll just sell it to the other market maker who's, going to do what they do. And at the end of the day, it's just market makers trading with one another. And I would venture to say, and I don't have the stats on this, but I would venture to say 90+% of the retail has scurried off, having lost a lot, messing around with leverage, or just selling as the market was in free fall, thinking that they'll just buy it back lower.
Or just being in spot at the top. I mean, if you would have bought Solana at the top, I mean, you lost 50% in a week.
And it makes it true. And it makes sense to sell it off when it's free falling. I mean, you're basically entering into a short position, but I think people aren't excited about writing an asset into the floor. You just kind of go.
I mean, if you've never experienced your wallet drop by 50% in a month
or in a day,
you think it's going to zero. Well, I mean, it didn't drop 50% in a day. But there were days it dropped by like there were days that I think we did have 50%.
On some alts. I just mean on some alts.
The big ones.
On Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, some of those alts. Geez, I mean, I got war wounds in this shit, and I just got wrecked.
It was tough. A lot of everyone got wrecked. There's unless you had absolutely zero exposure, there's no chance that you didn't get wrecked. And so it's it's just been a real tough Q1. Q1 basically sucked for crypto.
That's tough year.
Now you could swing. There were plenty of swing trade opportunities, and the people that were short, in their long or short trades could have done well. But it's just been a rough go at it, and
Yeah.
you could see that reflected on almost every single chart.
But that's what's got me really excited about this direction with Packet TV, is because it becomes very tangible. It's not just about, number goes up. It's something that people can use in a bear market, in a bull market, in a recession. There's value that's exchanged. There's longevity to it.
There's use
It's a real
cases with
business
regards
model.
to the packet domains, and I think with marketing, and once Packet Pal launches this registrar website, which I'm actually really excited about. I don't know if you have the screens, Josh. Maybe you want to pop them on.
Sure.
But right now, to register a packet domain, you gotta go through the whole dashboard, and you gotta be savvy with your Web3 wallet, and that's all good and fine for the crypto world, assuming that you have Ethereum on base and you're set up to do crypto things. But our goal with regards to utility is to simplify the use cases so that people even outside of the crypto sphere can grab a packet domain. Has really been cool. We've, on our last stream, shared some of the websites that are just getting built on Packet that have zero to do with crypto. And it's just great that you can have a domain without having to pay an annual fee. You can have a website that's self-hosted very easily, or through Canva. Canva's just been an unbelievable tool for hosting websites. If you have a Canva subscription, then get after it. But I believe that as more people learn that this is a viable alternative to Wix and Squarespace, and you can just get a web URL for essentially zero cost, it'll be a lot easier for people to do. So what this is going to be is essentially coming in and just getting a packet domain, choosing the domain and loading your wallet, and being able to have a nice front end for grabbing it. And this front end will do all the tasks that are required for you to get a packet domain without having to go through the dashboard, essentially.
If you buy your blog.com or something domain, and you have to pay that every year, it's actually even worse if you're paying a monthly to like Wix or something, and then your domain is whatever my thing .wix.com, because it means you can never move off of Wix ever, and you're going to be paying that for the rest of your life. Because if you have a packet domain, even if you're hosted on Wix or whatever, Canva or whatever site you're hosted on, you can move that somewhere else. You can say, well, I don't like the cost of this thing, and this other one's cheaper, or this is a free option, I'm going to use this. Mm-hmm. And you can go there and you just take your domain with you. But like the last thing you ever want to have is a domain that's something some company that you have to pay money to every month.com.
You're 100% right. And actually the portability of this is maybe one of the biggest parts of the story. I actually have a friend, and she launched her business. It's a store in Santa Barbara. She sells apparel, and she has a storefront. And so she set up the e-com side of her business on Wix. And she was telling me, I think she pays like $180 a month. I don't know what she signed up for, but she doesn't do a lot of sales, but they like had an e-com package, and they probably helped her with some services. And she's freaking out because she has to spend almost $2,000 a year for basically her website .wix whatever. And that's a lot of money for a small business, and it's a recurring expense, and it's just every single month.
Wait, credit cards. How much is that per month?
I think she said it was like $180 a month. Now they have cheaper versions. It's not like it's always 180, but she has the e-com package, and she has certain bells and whistles.
I think that's what I pay I think I pay a little less to host packet.cash, packeterium.xyz, let's see, packet chat, my mail server. What else do I host? Everything that I host is on 2 OVH machines, and they're both 2 physical machines, and I'm paying like $150 a month for that.
Right. And
well, I mean, and that's
and you have all the
way more than
versatility
you
in the
need.
world.
That's way more than you need for a regular website. I mean, you could go
Right.
and pay like, you know, $20-$30 a month to GoDaddy and host, and you can even set up multiple WordPress instances on top of a single host. You could have a dozen websites that you're paying, you know, $20-$30 for.
I mean,
Which
all
is
these
a great
people who are
business.
finding dollar VPSs
Yeah.
to host their CJDNS nodes. Well, once you got a dollar VPS, you can go put your website on it. There's your dollar website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed.
No, that's real.
Yeah. 12, I mean, $8, you could get a VPS for under $10 a year, straight up. And it just shows what type of margins exist for these businesses. I mean, bless the heart of the Squarespace and the Wix of the world. They're killing it, you know, and they have their kind of modular web builder where it's like drag and drop, and it makes it really, you know, build a website for dummies type situation. But that's a 10-plus-year-old, you know, technology now. Actually, Josh, do you want to talk about the most insane thing that you just shared last night, the AI web builder that can literally take Figma and build web pages? What's that called? I mean, if you're listening, how many people are on this stream, Jer?
104. But
Okay.
before you go on, everyone who's here, why don't you repost this on X so that we can double our count while Jesse shares the absolute sauce right here.
Yeah, this is probably, look, we know AI is here, and I would venture to say that the strong majority, and I'm talking about upwards of 95% of the world, is not aware of what's possible with AI. Most likely, I mean, we do know there's, I mean, I don't, you know, last I checked, there was over 100 million people, you know, that OpenAI was like the fastest thing ever in the history of mankind to gain 100 million users. And it had that over a year ago. I don't know how many users are on OpenAI right now, but let's say there was even 300 million users. That's still a small percentage of our global population. There are obviously competitive platforms to OpenAI, and you can use OpenAI for free. And if you have a paid subscription, it does some things faster. And we know that OpenAI is certainly a leader. There's no question. But we've started to use another AI that, was it Mark Cuban who mentioned it, Josh? Or who is the,
Manus?
That mentioned Manus?
I've seen it in a few Instagram things.
Well, you mentioned that somebody had said that this was the most like incredible.
Oh no, Mark Andreessen.
Oh, Mark Andreessen, yeah, said it was the most incredible, you know, tool he'd ever seen. So Josh started experimenting with it, and I would say, if you were to ask what is the main differentiating factor between OpenAI and Manus, I would say it's how robust it is in terms of what you ask it to do and what it delivers. OpenAI is very text orientated, which is great, but it also limits, kind of like truncates the body of work you can ask it to do. And so you have to almost like ask it to do multiple different things, and then you have to kind of self-compile it. It won't write you like a 50-page report with diagrams. Like, it just doesn't do that. But Manus does. And you can also have Manus, do the research. So you could say, hey, research something for me. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you have an idea and you come up with this idea and you're wondering if it's patentable. So you could ask Manus to research all the patents that are within the realm of your idea without even reading one of those. You could then tell it to take the research that it did and write you a patent for your idea that have a high probability of getting accepted. And it will basically do that work with diagrams.
Yeah,
and it will
then
deliver.
I had it write. It wrote out the diagrams. I said, "Can you create those images for me?" And it created a first draft, which you could then take to someone to go just be like, "Hey, make this pretty." Did you get, Caleb? Did you get the chance to look at what I'd sent you?
So I think you're going to see massive growth. I mean, just that example I gave right there about patents. I mean, how many people think about patents? A lot, but not everyone.
Well, they cost $50,000 to just
to do a patent. I mean, it's an unbelievable amount of work. Now, of course, you're going to need an expert to go and file that and defend it. And, getting a patent will take years, most likely, to get through because of the Q&A and the modifications that you'll need to do based on whatever feedback that you end up getting and the costs, to run that process. But if you can start out walking into a law firm with a pre-written patent with diagrams and let them do V1 submission and begin the Q&A, I mean, you maybe cut the price of getting a patent in half or more.
I mean, the other task I just had to do is I had to research grants. Because we've been talking about doing grants. There's so much money for grants for the stuff that we're doing. And I said, research grants that are aligned with, I just uploaded our deck and I just said, find me grants that are aligned with this project. And it researched, found me 4 grants. And then I said, write me grant proposals that are specific to each one of the requirements for each one of these grants. And it wrote me like a 5 to 10 page grant proposal for each one of them. I mean, I feel bad for the grant people because they're just going to get an influx. I mean, it's going to take a while for people to learn to start using AI. But I sit there and I watch it work and I'm like literally in awe of what it's doing. Because it's not just like ChatGPT, just kind of like you put in a question, it pulls out an answer. This, it like creates a checklist, goes through it, searches the web, pulling up pages, and you're watching it like go through the web and do all the research and go and look up the stuff and just start scouring the internet. And you're just like watching it work. And now it's creating the document and now it's editing it. And like you're watching the process and it's going fast. It's not like it's a slow process. And you just like imagine doing all of those tasks yourself and you just want to put a gun in your mouth. I mean, it's so much work and it's just doing it. It takes 5 minutes to do all that work. You're just like, holy shit.
Yeah, it'd be weeks of work. It'd be weeks of work. I mean, it'd be weeks of dedicated
months
work.
Of work to go research grants, to be able to write specific grants with references. I mean, each one of those takes weeks, like Caleb knows what it takes to go, get a proposal for things. You've gone through those processes.
It's about 6 months of work, 3 to 6 months of work with 2 to 4 people doing it. It's just miserable fucking work.
Well, bang. Manus is your never done it. Yeah, Manus is your new best friend, Caleb. So here's where it even gets crazier. Like if you think that's crazy, this next thing is
called Bolt.
Yeah, so Bolt. Okay, so Bolt literally, I mean, it's robust. It does a lot of things, but one of the things it does is you can take a Figma design and you can literally take the link to the Figma and you can paste it into Bolt and it will literally build you an app. Just like bang, just builds the app, just codes the entire thing or a website. So it just like does all the coding. And then not only that, you can then, and it's stunning, like beautiful. And you can also have a lot of different variants, but then based on whatever it delivers, you can then give it commands and have it add different design features or change text or
change
functionality, add buttons. You can tell it, hey, I want to create a button that you click and it says submit, and then once you click it, it says thank you, I'm going to contact you. Like, and it's just 1 second, just makes that button for you. Change the shape, change the size, change the color.
Caleb, I don't want to hear any excuses about your shitty front end design stuff.
So it's
I don't do front end.
Well, Bolt is your new best friend.
Yeah, that's why you have Bolt. You got AI.
No, Bolt is your new best friend. You can
Bolt my new best friend.
API documentation, and it'll make you the website.
Yeah, indeed. So, well, that's the cool thing. So, tools and abilities. I literally, when I was watching this video of what it's capable of, I felt really bad for web designers and art and like web marketers, because this new text capability, like the quality of this and the ability to do diagrams, comic books, signs, and the creativity of and quality of the text designs and font usage is top tier. I mean, it's as good as, a level marketing firm. So it's going to be a game changer as people start to realize they have these tools at their disposal, where people were like using Photoshop and, feeling limited as to what they could do because you don't have money to go hire an app company to build you an app, or you can't build a quality website, so you're using a template on Evado. No, you can literally use this tool. I don't know how much it costs, but right now it's free. You can use this tool and build custom HTML sites that are adaptive. You can build custom apps, for mobile devices and iPads and computers. And yeah, the possibilities are pretty powerful. Actually, we should see, because we built Packet VPN. We should see if we could get it to do the whole front end that we would want to do for Packet VPN. That'd be pretty exciting, Caleb, is to take those designs, because we built the Figma for it. I mean, dang, I'm just like riffing here, but we should definitely go do that. Take those designs and just go create the front end, and then we already know the back end exists, but that would be a really cool use case to this. Just taking my own medicine here is seeing if we can get Packet VPN app
or the Packet domain.
Yeah, we should just take this Figma and have it just go freaking build it right now. Obviously, we need a bolt. We would still need to bolt in all the backend functionality and how it works with, the dump stake feature and everything like that. But yeah, just having the front end built out is really, really exciting. I mean, I can't tell you how many projects I've done with web developers, months and months and months of work, and giving them feedback, and then they have to interpret the feedback and execute the feedback, and then it's got some bug, and the QA process is laborious and expensive. And yeah, it's just even a perfect example actually is some of the bugs that we've had with the Packet dashboard. It's like there's tons of bugs there. There's tons of things that don't work perfect on mobile. So it would be an awesome exercise to go and again take our own advice here and start messing around with Bolt. For people who are just hearing about this for the first time, yeah, definitely go check it out. Bolt AI and Manus it's just unbelievable what's possible. I mean,
pretty rad.
Getting these tools working is
well, it's going to be cool because people are going to be able to use their Packet domains and get a website. And you don't need to be a web developer to do it. So
that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
It's going to be I want to crack the code on how to make that frictionless, because we've been trying to partner with a web builder, but it's like you almost don't need it.
You just nailed it, Josh. We should do that. We should do it, make a video about it, and then post that, and that will, make it fast, expedite the process of people taking their packet domains. I mean, there's hundreds of people who have secured packet domains. If you could just go to Bold AI and say, hey, make me a website, it just does it. And then we can just document the process of how to take that live.
Yeah. I'll go down a rabbit hole this
weekend.
Yeah,
let's go down a rabbit hole and do it, because this is a game changer. Look, the limit is information. The limit is what is knowledge. And then once you have the knowledge, then it's just you're your own limiter in terms of taking the time and energy to do it. A lot of people don't want to, trial and error it. So if we can create some rails, where it's like following video instructions on what to do, and we can R&D it ourselves, I think it could definitely inspire some serious growth and getting people to start using this stuff. Because look, at the end of the day, people want shit for free. That's just what people want, And I think that when it's free, but it's a hurdle, when it's a task, when it feels a little bit out of reach, then people go to what's easy. And oftentimes what's easy is just, go with what you're willing to pay for it. That's why I would venture to say a huge amount of the web domains are GoDaddy, because that's why that business is so robust, because it's just easy. It's a recognizable name and brand, and you just go and do it. And you're willing to pay, you just pay whatever it is, and it's not cheap. But if there were other options that were readily available, if making a website was super easy, click, give it even better than click, just tell it what to do. It's like, hey, build me a website. Here's what the functionality I want it to have. And if you're just giving it like text commands and it's building it, and then you're, instructing it to modify, that's just wildly powerful and it'll empower the next generation of entrepreneurs to be able to use these AI tools to not just build things, but to build things that are as good as, $50,000 websites. And I'm looking at some of the sites that were built. It's absolutely shocking. So it's an exciting time. I remember feeling so inspired with OpenAI when it first came out. What was that? It was like November 2022, I think. 2023, maybe it was November. And I remember sitting down with one of my friends and having him type in his name and ask it to write a bio about him. It's just like, hey, here's my name, write me a bio. And it literally wrote a bio. It somehow knew all this information about him. It had pulled all this info from other articles that had been written about his brand. And he was blown away. And then he was like, well, have it write an article about, a topic that was important to his company, and give it the command. And it just like writes a, 1,000-word article. And yeah, it was just shocking. Now we know that AI has filtered itself into marketing, in every way, shape, and form. And this next phase where you can have the kind of customization and marketing and branding of high quality, and then implement that, even going a step further with regards to your web presence, building an app for you, all these different things. I mean, it's huge. So it's a super exciting moment in time. And we'll share some of these tools in the chats, and give them a shot. And then, like we said, we'll do a little work to trial and error it and see if we can simplify the way people can set up packet domains and packet websites on the network.
Yeah. Cool, boys. Well, let's get back to work and keep on building. Thanks for everyone that tuned in.
Great chat with you all.
Have a good one, guys. See you in a couple weeks.
All right. Good luck with the.
Good luck with everything.
Thanks.
Break a leg.
Godspeed, brother.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Cheers.